Welcome back to my mental health and crime channel. My name is Huda London. This is for education purposes only. This is the case of the Idaho 4. May the victims rest in peace, condolence to the families, and may the correct justice be served. I'd like to start by thanking all my subscribers, my viewers, for your kindness, for your kind comments, for your interesting, respectful comments. I really do appreciate them. I do get a lot of wise thoughts from the comments you leave behind. Today, I'd like to talk about 2 a.m. Like Stacy Chapin, Eaton's mother said. She said 2 a.m. is the hardest time for a family. And I want to know why 2 a.m. is the hardest time. I personally have my beliefs. It's all alleged, and I will tell you all exactly why. 2 a.m. is when something happened to Eaton and Zano. Clearly. Allegedly, actually. The reason I say that 2 a.m. is when something happened, the last text that Eaton texted his friend was at 2:10 a.m. He said he was at the Sigma Chi fraternity party and he was still there. His friend called the FBI tip line and told the FBI. The timeline was still not changed. His mother was frustrated. She called the FBI tip line and she told them, and it was still not changed. Then you have the other example of Kaylee's sister telling us clearly that her sister got home at 1:56. She told law enforcement and the FBI, and they still did not change the timeline. They said that all the victims were home by 1:45, which was absolutely not true. There has to be a reason why they're trying to make the timeline suit them and maybe even the so-called witness DM, who was allegedly not sure if she was awake or if she was dreaming. So how could she even talk about a man with bushy eyebrows and a white skin? She was very sure that he had not, she didn't mention Caucasian, she said white skin. So she didn't even explain other things like the eye color. Was it brown? Was it light brown? Was it dark brown? Was it blue? Was it green? Was it hazel brown? Gray? Nothing of that sort was explained. Maybe it's because DM knows exactly who did this horrific crimes, and she and BF could possibly be hiding for them out of maybe threats or out of their own gains, like whatever beef they could have had with the girls. Now, if you pay attention to the Grub Chalk and the Banfield videos, you never see BF or DM. That makes me believe that if DM and BF were at the house at 1 o'clock, like law enforcement says, they know exactly what happened to especially Ethan and Zano. They would have heard them coming in because that's 45 minutes after they came. They couldn't have fallen asleep by 1:45. They would have heard when Maddie and Kaylee came in too. So the surviving roommates know much more than they're saying, definitely. For whatever reason, I believe they know what they've seen. They were busy texting each other. Why were they texting each other? Why did they not call the police? It's because Bethany Funk is selling COKE. It's all over Venmos. She was doing it from April 2021, right up to April 29, 2022. So there was somebody dealing rugs from that house. We know of BF dealing, and obviously, if you have rugs around the house, last thing you'll be thinking is calling police and snitching on yourself. So something was going on inside this house, and I wonder where BF was getting her rugs from. Who was a supplier and who was a customers? Because one of our customers could have actually got angry, come back, and taken revenge on all of them. Example BK. Once that I found out that Bethany Funk was dealing from the house, it opened my brain to deeper thoughts, to things that can be so possible. We have BK, who has a rug history, allegedly, who could have mental health illnesses because you hardly see somebody who's been on heroin for 5 years and successfully recovers. There's always, to be honest, there's always some damage that is left in a person's brains. These are chemicals and toxins the person has been using for 5 years, if that is true, allegedly. So, what I'm trying to say is if Brian reduced and went down to Coke and Bethany Funk was selling it, I can imagine how they could have easily met, or how he could have met DM, or maybe one of the roommates, or maybe somebody in Washington, Pullman College, told him that that is the place you can get Coke from. That would make a lot of sense because BK has been going to that house, I believe, 12 times, and on the night of the murders would have made it 13 times. He had a history of going to around those areas. I'm not saying he was going to that house, but if he's going to around those areas, and if those areas were known to be a party house, and I showed to y'all and confirmed to y'all in all my other clips that you can see below that Miss Bethany Funk, if that is what she's called, was actually a dealer. So you have many motives why somebody could have tried to come into that house and try, not even tried, and harmed four of the victims. You could ask even, then why did Bethany survive? Bethany could be involved in it. Maybe somebody was jealous that the other victims were going to tell, or jealous that, not jealous, angry, sorry, that the other victims were going to tell. Maybe the surviving roommates had it in for the four victims because they're going to tell on them. Maybe they were having other issues. Look at Halloween, the pictures of DM. She looked like she was being bullied. Maddie and Xana were sitting there. So I don't think Kaylee was there at Halloween. Kaylee was away for 1 month. Why was she away? What was going on in this house? Something was not right. And whatever was told to Adam had to be maybe about rugs. DM is selling rugs. Maybe Kaylee told Maddie, Maddie told Adam, and then they knew they would get busted if these girls were going to tell on them. And maybe they came for Kaylee and Maddie, and Ethan and Xana was by the two Davids, like the fortune said. That is what I'm starting to believe. Jack Showalter, I believe, is involved, very involved, because he had motives, clear motives for Ethan and Xana, who got him kicked out of the frats, and he had motives for Kaylee, who got him kicked out of the corner club. All the people at the corner club that night, most of them were carrying. We could clearly see that. And then the question we need to ask is, why is law and enforcement letting them continue carrying? These are the same boys, let's not forget, the vandals that beat up Tim. These people were yelling out Xana and Ethan's name at the grub truck. Something was clearly happening to Xana and Ethan, and I believe it has to do with the three boys running with the one glove on. One of them's clothes looked too small, it looked like a female clothes. He had Said with his bushy eyebrows telling the cops what's up. Things didn't make sense, and there's so many people carrying long machetes at the grub truck. Some of the pictures may be blurry, but most of the pictures are clear to see. So my heart really breaks to know that the real unalivers, the real drillers, are actually outside, and that could be dangerous for the other students. 2 a.m. What happened at 2 a.m.? I'm sure a lot happened at 2 a.m. I'm sure that's when the fight broke out at the Sigma Chi fraternity. What was the fight about? According to Anonymous in the 4chan, it was a lot of hate and anger. They had three targets: Maddie, Zano, Ethan. Ethan and Zana made fun of David Lodge and called him a steroid head. And they said that you have shiver balls. Steroids is part of RUGS. So there was RUGS coming in from somewhere. I wonder if Bethany Funk could have something to do with the steroids. She was at the Sigma Chi fraternity party. She would have a lot of escapated evidence. That's what I personally believe. So we need to find out what was happening with the RUGS in the school. I believe this was more than RUGS. I believe a lot was going on. It was partly crime of passion. There was a lot of anger, hate, bitterness, maybe from Jack Showalter. Jack D, his alibi doesn't make sense. And the only person who can confirm his alibi is his friend Adam. What did Maddie tell Adam? They were trying to shut up Maddie for some reason. That's why number 9 was shoving RUGS up Maddie's mouth. Allegedly. He wanted Maddie to be silent that night. They were going to silence the four victims, but he already said he did this. He said, I'm going to put someone to sleep. So that is really not only fishy, that's a red flag to start with. The grub truck owner knows something because you can hear him saying, people have fallen, people have fallen. And then he says, no, I'm not talking to you. He tells the customer, I'm talking to someone at the chat. Let's not forget there was a live stream chat, live stream Twitch video. There was around 10K people watching. So 10K people were watching Kaylee and Maddie walking into the grub truck. I wonder if all the people on the live stream were actually paying for that, besides paying super chats and all. What was the deal? Venmos were going around from Molly and all those people's side. S and then Jack K. What was those Venmos for? Were these people gambling? Were these people involved in fight clubs? What was happening at Linda Lane? Was it true or was it debunked? I know that many of the clips of Linda Lane, some of the recordings are not true, to be honest. Everyone's adding and subtracting from Linda Lane. The reason I don't deal with Linda Lane is because Linda Lane is not like Banfield and the Grub Truck. It hasn't been put out by the police or put out by mainstream news. Linda Lane, we wouldn't know what really happened because the cops took the clips. I believe, and I'm really starting to believe, that BK was there to buy RUGS from Bethany Funk. That would make sense. So he could have lent her his knife and knife sheet because she was scared. There was something going on in the house because Sana asked her father to change her door locks or fix her locks. So something was definitely going on. And it could make sense. Bethany Funk could have asked BK. Like once she was his dealer and she started to start getting to know him, she could have asked him. He could have just seen her one day sad and said, what's going on? She must be saying, oh, yeah, something, and these people are going to rob us or beat us and all that. And he said, you know what? You can borrow my knife. And maybe that's how his knife sheet and his DNA came in the picture. Let me know what y'all think, but I think it is really possible. Once there's somebody selling in this house, that gives clear motives for anyone to target the house. And if you remember in the beginning, it was William Thompson who said it's not the victims that were the targets, it was the resident that was the target. What were they saving in the spare room? And why was Hunter always there? Is needed to be asked. Why was Hunter there twice when the police came? And let's be honest, with all due respect to the victims, may they rest in peace, the day the police came and knocked the door and Zana answered, Zana looked like she was on pills or something. So there was some kind of rugs going on in this house. And I am starting to believe that the police knew about it. Because if the cab driver is saying he drove many people there to buy drugs, then the police should have known about it. It was a party venue, and it was a known place. It was a party spot, party hub. And that is the truth. So once you have so many fingerprints, once you have so many people coming and leaving that place, I'm sure the police heard of it. Noise complaints was maybe just a code to tell them to keep their things down. Ashodel frats involved in RUGS, FBI arresting them. So, of course, steroids and other pills and other forms of things are involved with college students. I want to know what was happening in Kaylee's life. Kaylee was studying from home for 1 month. I wonder why. Was she having trouble with the surviving roommates, with the roommates, with Ethan moving and coming over to Xana so often? Was she scared of the stalker allegedly she had? And why the FBI waiting for something that is male related in Kaylee's case? Why did they ask Steve to sign a warrant, a waiver for whatever's coming in in the mail that's post related or mail related? Find that to be interesting. And let's not forget that Bethany Funk and DM know Shawalter from before. Shawalter was really upset that night that Maddie, I think, was giving him a hard time at the grub truck. She kept on pointing her finger and saying, F you, mister. There's a lot going on, and Kaylee was completely focused on her phone. Even Shawalter, there was a time he was trying to come closer to her to check what she was texting. It looked like the whole grub truck, the people are standing surrounding Kaylee and Maddie, looked like they knew what was going down. And if it was something to do with rugs and shakedown, of course they would have known. It's sad, it just looked like Kaylee and Maddie were the only two who did not know what was going on. Number 9 was sitting there waiting patiently for Maddie to walk in, and then he called Maddie. When Maddie went and gave him a hug, she said something in his ear, and then he came back and he put something in her mouth while he was taking his food. And that it comes again, once again, in the rug picture. He put something in her mouth. It wasn't like he forced her. It looked like Maddie was willing to take whatever he gave her in her mouth. And that's the reason I believe Maddie couldn't defend herself. What the surviving roommates was doing is a very good question that we need to ask. 8 to 9 hours, they did not call the police. People think they were cleaning up. I think more like they were taking out the rugs from the house that Bethany Funk allegedly was selling. I showed you all Venmos, and that explains a lot. And once again, that's where BK could have come in. Maybe even Brent Kopaka. could have come in into that scenario. But I believe BK was here to buy. I'm sorry to say, because we have Bethany Funk Cleary dealing in the house. DM was definitely getting. Like if somebody is dealing and to keep the others quiet, they will give them some of their stuff or they give them for discount so that the person doesn't tell on them to the cops. And I'm sure BF could have been giving DM to keep her quiet. And maybe BF was dealing inside the house with Hunter Johnson, Eddie, and the people who are opening the door for the cops. That would make a lot of sense. DM heard rummaging upstairs, so the people who came, maybe this was about rugs even, about money. There's many things that isn't right. I wonder how Eaton got his red Jeep. I'm sure his parents bought him, but and Kaylee's SUV or Jeep that she's buying in installment, but then she put down 7,500K. So where did she get that from so quickly? These are college students. We need to ask questions. What was their life like? Who were they hanging around with? What was going on in their life? Just like I found out about Bethany Funke's Venmo that she's dealing. And that is really important. We can't ignore that. I wonder who else was dealing in the house. Could Xana and Maddie be dealing with the place they worked, Mad Creek, allegedly? Or Kaylee, could she have been dealing with Maddie and they told Adam something that they weren't supposed to tell? Or maybe the girls were not involved. Maybe the girls are just going to snitch on them and they're to get rid of them. It could be anything, but it's worth thinking of all those possibilities. Because if there's one person selling in the house, there could have been more people selling in the house. And that could have been a clear motive. Burglary could have been the motive. These four victims, thank God, there wasn't any sexual assault. So it had to do all with brutally killing them, and that could be money. Follow the money. Rugs could have been involved. Hate, crime, or passion, like Fochan said. Please let me know what y'all think, and have a lovely day, a lovely Sunday.